Hello all my subscribers. So based on a suggestion from a friend, thought I would try something a little different and make a little intro when I start with these videos. So yeah, anyway, let me go ahead and just adjust the light there for a sec. Anyway, thought I would go ahead and give a little intro, spice up the video a little bit, stand out from everyone else. And since it's a superhero review I'm doing, I thought there would be no better way for this custom intro than to do a little retrospective of the superhero movie genre from the beginning, as you saw in the intro with Superman, from Superman 1978 up to now with the MCU and all the DC movies and other ones. So yeah, this will mainly be talking about Marvel and DC, but there will be a few other ones that I want to point out there. So without further ado, here we are, my superhero movie retrospective. So yeah, I'm not really going to talk about all the movies that came from before. I guess I'll just briefly touch on Batman 1966. But yeah, anyway, there were some serials, but they were more just advertisements right before another movie came out before it. But the classic Adam West Batman TV show, that did have a movie that came out that united all the villains. And for the show, for what it is, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I guess all I gotta say on that is definitely not that bad of a first impression, but the true first impression has to be Christopher Reeve's Superman 1978. I think I'm going to spend most of my time talking about the first two because they're the ones that had the biggest impact, but yeah. So right now on to Superman 1978. So yeah, anyway, Superman 1978, that was the true beginning. That gosh, one interesting bit of trivia, just about all the popular male actors of the 70s tried out, from Robert Redford to Nick Nolte, so many of them. Oh, Sylvester Stallone tried out. It sure is interesting knowing that, but thankfully the director, the late, rest in peace, Richard Donner, decided to cast Christopher Reeve. And let's just say he was definitely the beginning of an actor who was just spot-on casting to the character, and definitely one who made a damn good impression, and definitely led to other influences like RDJ right behind me as Iron Man. But yeah, we'll get to that when we get to the more recent history. But yeah, frickin' gosh dang, he was just so spot-on and just nailed down almost all of Superman's mannerisms. And the one I really liked was when he was, as Clark Kent, debating if he wanted to reveal he was Superman to Lois. And just through a little body posture in his voice, he did it so convincingly. He's all like, "Lois, I got something I need to tell you." And then he's like, oh, then he put his glasses on, like, "Hey, Lois, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and go." So he did his more reserved Clark Kent voice. So, gosh dang, really nailed that down. And that's definitely an aspect that has been around for all subsequent superhero movies, whether it's Batman and all his various incarnations, along with various villains, kind of like with Willem Dafoe with the Green Goblin. But we'll get to that when we get to that, so must resist urge to do Willem Dafoe impression. Let's just say that that's a real fun one to do, so we'll get to that when I get to that. But yeah, definitely, oh, just about everything was great. With his dad being Marlon Brando was absolutely great, along with Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor. There have been better ones since, but for an intro, he was really great. Especially with how he had a almost James Bond villain-like plan to take over the US, and it was just so perfect. He's like the only James Bond villain to never officially go up against James Bond. But yeah, definitely an overall classic, and I guess the last thing I'll say is during the ending, even though Superman Rewinding Time, it is a little cheap and it does kind of ruin it a bit, you still feel the raw emotion, especially when Superman, oh gosh, I almost said Christopher Reeves, when Superman, when he frickin' sees that he couldn't save Lois, and he's hearing the voice in his head of his father, Jor-El, saying, "You cannot interfere in human history," but yet his human father, Jonathan Kent, says, "You were here for a reason." And it's really nice too, and oh my gosh, it is so gut-wrenching when you hear him cry. Like, you feel it every time when he just just lets out an utter shriek of terror where he is just like saying, "No, I'm not going to try because it won't be pleasant to hear me trying to impersonate him." Just watch the movie and you'll find out. But yeah, just overall, really solid film and definitely classic. And Superman 2 had a bit of a troubled production, and I guess Richard Donner had been done dirty by some of the producers, and he got booted even though he filmed 75% of the movie. And they brought on another guy who literally like filmed some of his own shots on top of his so he could get the director credit. And I will say Superman 2, the theatrical cut, and Superman the Richard Donner cut each have their own strengths. But I gotta say, the theatrical version is much better, and the ending doesn't feel as forced and lazy because it's literally the same ending from the first movie, but done with not the best effects. But nonetheless, the character work for both Clark Kent, Superman, Christopher Reeve, he was always great throughout the first 4 movies. So I'm gonna say that right now, even in Superman 3 and 4, like Reeve always gave it his all. So, and same thing with Lois Lane, Margot Kidder, and Gene Hackman. But yeah, nonetheless, still a pretty solid film, and Terrence Stamp was really great as General Zod, especially with his classic "Kneel before Zod." Yeah, that's my best Terrence Stamp. But yeah, nonetheless, definitely a real solid film, and definitely like how it brings down Superman to being more focused on Clark Kent, and the character work there is really great, and you can tell Sam Raimi took influence with his Spider-Man movies, especially with Spider-Man 2. And even the more dark, twisted side of Superman, Superman 3, that was definitely an aspect of Spider-Man 3. Probably would have done something, hopefully not exactly the same as Spider-Man 4 was made, but we'll never know, because Spider-Man 4, it may or may not happen now. But, anyway, frickin', I guess all I got left to say on this is, one little scene that I want to highlight that just shows the strength of Christopher Reeve's performance as Superman. I really like when he's depowered, because he decides to get rid of his powers because he wants to be a human with Lois. And Zod overthrows the U.S. government, the most powerful government in the world overthrown. What can they do? I mean, the powers of the Kryptonians, they can't do much. But anyway, nonetheless, I really like the scene where he's like getting beaten up by this trucker, and he's all like, "Gosh dang it, Lois, I have to try. If they're hurting the world, then I must try." Oh gosh, I just really love it. It's definitely one of those just roll with the punches type moments that are in a lot of superhero movies that you see, because definitely one thing with the genre you notice as you watch a lot of these movies, there are specific tropes you see. But nonetheless, I feel like almost all the brands definitely have done a good job of playing around with them, and they're definitely going to have to do it more moving forward. But nonetheless, that was a good start. So, yeah, Superman 3 and 4, all I gotta say on them, they definitely needed some rewrites on their scripts. Superman 4 was definitely pretty bad, along with the effects. I feel like if the effects budget was bigger and it wasn't made by Canon Pictures and the script had a few more rewrites, it probably could have worked. But they probably should have not done the Cold War nuclear weapons aspect. That definitely was not a good choice. But yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and gosh, now that I think about it, there aren't hardly any other really superhero movies. I guess I want to clarify too, I'm mainly going to talk about the ones that are from the comic books, so I'm not really going to talk about ones like He-Man, and there was that 80s Masters of the Universe movie. So now that I think about it, there really wasn't hardly anything else in the 80s outside of Superman, so I guess let's go ahead into the next big superhero movie that came out in the 80s, that being Batman '89, starring Michael Keaton. So yeah, Batman, Michael Keaton right here. And if I was talking about TV, I would probably highlight Batman the Animated Series. This was the one that was the next big movie in the genre. So yeah, this movie came out directed by Tim Burton after he had his success from Beetlejuice. And Michael Keaton proved a lot of haters wrong, because I guess initially everyone thought because he was a comedic actor he wouldn't have worked as Batman. But boy did he prove them all wrong, and he's definitely my favorite Batman up to, rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. At least live action wise. Overall, Kevin Conroy might just be my favorite, but yeah, Michael Keaton was pretty damn good. And Jack Nicholson is the Joker. Yes, there have been subsequent Jokers since. he still has a warm place in my heart. He was still pretty damn good. And yeah, he definitely set the standard for the Joker for a while, and Mark Hamill, in succeeding him, did a good job of doing his own thing and not repeating him. And then Heath Ledger, as I'll get into when we talk about The Dark Knight and the 2000 superhero movies, freaking obviously was great, along with Joaquin Phoenix. Only real miss we had was Jared Leto, or as I call him, Jared Shitto. But yeah, anyway, definitely a solid film, great cast, Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale, and you definitely like this rivalry. I will admit, making the Joker the killer of the Waynes, because Bruce Wayne, the murder of his parents, is his driving force, it is a little cheap, and I don't really like how it was the Joker. I kind of prefer it more when it's just a random thug, like Joe Chill, like what Joe Chill is supposed to be, and how when there's like no involvement with the Joker or anyone else, it kind of just happens. It's kind of just like a byproduct of how shitty Gotham City is supposed to be, so it's just some punk with a gun who picks off the Waynes, so yeah. But solid soundtrack with Danny Elfman, that theme up there with some of my favorite Batman themes. I mean, shoot, it was even ported over to Batman the Animated Series. It was that good. And Danny Elfman did it again. And I will admit, the Prince songs, they kind of date the movie. They're good, but I hate to say it, unlike what some of my friends think, I think they do kind of date the movie, and I really feel like they should have been removed. But I guess Tim Burton was kind of forced to put them in, so it is what it is. But anyway, nonetheless, I'm so glad this movie was a huge success, and it led to a lot of the superhero movies we get subsequently, because the 90s was kind of a mixture, and the only other superhero movie of the 80s was Howard the Duck, and I really don't want to talk about that one very much. I don't know, in a way, it kind of has a guilty pleasure cult kind of fun to it, but otherwise it's like, oh my gosh, George Lucas, what were you thinking? And yeah, there is quite an uncomfortable scene with Howard and Beverly, played by Leah Thompson, Marty McFly's mom in Back to the Future. So yeah. And anyway, let's go ahead and move on into the 90s. So I guess I'll go ahead and talk about some of the theatrically released movies, because there was a 1990 Captain America movie, but it wasn't released here in America, and quite frankly, most Marvel fans don't really even acknowledge it. And same thing with that 1994 Fantastic Four movie. No joke, I tried to watch it, I just could not. It is unwatchable. The effects, the story, just, everything with Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, not good. And I'm not going to spend much time on the Fantastic Four, even with the 2000s adaptations, because I'm kind of annoyed how some people want them to come back in Avengers Secret Wars. Seriously, no sane Marvel fan wants to see them back! And also, Chris Evans was the Human Torch. It would be quite confusing because now he's played Captain America. Why the hell do you want him back? Or them? Like, seriously. And that Doctor Doom was horrible. Boy, one of Marvel's best villains, and we still have not got a proper Doctor Doom. Anyway, that Fantastic Four rant aside, I guess that's all I'm going to say on those movies in the 2000s, because let's just say they butchered everything, and they went in there with the wrong intentions. They only made the movies just to make jokes with the characters, when that is not what Jack Kirby and Stan Lee wanted with the characters. They were supposed to be a family, Marvel's first family. They're supposed to be explorers who explore the universe, whether it's space, other dimensions, or even heaven and hell. Like, that's their whole thing. That's what's made the Fantastic Four last for 6 decades. Oh boy. Was not expecting to go on a major Fantastic Four rant, but there you go. Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled programs. Let's go ahead and talk about Batman Returns. And I think I'm going to do a speed round. I'm going to do Batman Returns up to Batman and Robin, since that was the original Batman series. So yeah, Batman Returns came out with Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Really great casting. I know he wasn't the particular type of character the Penguin's supposed to be, because he's supposed to be like a rich aristocrat type character, and this Penguin obviously was not, and especially with the way Danny DeVito looked and his makeup. And same thing with Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. She's definitely not like the Selena Kyle you see in the comics. But thankfully, Batman the Animated Series kind of gave us their look, but more faithful to the comics, which was really nice. But yeah, nonetheless, I guess all I gotta say on this movie, for all these movies, I guess, is definitely solid, and it's a solid Christmas movie too, because it takes place around the holiday season. But yeah, Batman Returns definitely had a solid soundtrack from Danny Elfman as expected, and overall Michael Keaton gave it another solid performance. And all I will say is I'm glad he's coming back in The Flash. And really, I don't get why some thought this movie was going to be for children in the 90s. I never really understood that criticism with McDonald's and why they removed that. But nonetheless, still a pretty amazing movie. And I mean, it's Tim Burton, and Tim Burton, he's had his misses, but he's had more hits than misses. So yeah. But Batman Forever, I hate to say it, but I feel like some people are way too fucking lenient on this movie. Like, they try to say it's still good and within the tone of the Keaton movies. No, it's not! Jim Carrey was miscast as the Riddler. He's just Jim Carrey dressed up as the fucking Riddler. Not great. Not the twisted genius the Riddler is supposed to be. Batman the Animated Series got that aspect right, and that's why that's my favorite Riddler for this moment. No offense to Paul Dano, did a good job as the serial killer, Zodiac killer in the Batman, but yeah. And Two-Face, holy fuck! I usually like Tommy Lee Jones in most things, but him as Two-Face, he was just the Joker in a Two-Face skin. Like, what the fuck? And Chris O'Donnell, oh my gosh, definitely not a good Dick Grayson, oh my gosh. And he only got worse in Batman and Robin, where a lot of his lines were, why can't I do this with you, Batman? Oh god, he was so fucking annoying. And I guess to sum up my rant on both those movies, Arnold Schwarzenegger, great actor, I love his one-liners, but they don't work as Mr. Freeze, a character who is supposed to be dark and tragic! A character where your wife is in suspended animation! Not a punning one-liner machine! Oh my gosh! I can't believe a cartoon got this right! And a movie that came out the year after Batman and Robin, Batman and Mr. Freeze, Sub-Zero, got that right. Oh my lord. And Uma Thurman, she's usually great in most things, but she was miscast as Poison Ivy also. You want the real Poison Ivy? Watch Batman and Robin. Or not Batman and Robin, Batman the Animated Series. That's how you do it. And Bane, they just made him a big muscular brute. Like, he's supposed to be the perfect mix of muscle and brains. Batman's one of his biggest rivals, right next to the Joker. Couldn't even get that right. I mean, they got an actor who looked the part in Jeep Swenson, the former wrestler, but they couldn't get that right. Ugh. Alright, I don't want to say any more on this before I potentially pass out. But yeah, there's also the infamous Bat credit card. Nostalgia Critic did this better, but Bat credit card! Oh my gosh, that is so stupid! What the fuck were you thinking? Akiva Goldsman, writer of the movie? Fuck! Okay, I've had other different reactions to that, so let's leave that there. Alright, that's all I'm gonna say on those movies before they make me pass out. So, anyway, thankfully, after that movie was a huge bomb, Marvel came back with another movie, and thank God none of those sequels were supposed to be made with Joel Schumacher at the helm, because they probably would have been disastrous too. What was I gonna say after that happened? Blade came out, and I will say, it has its ups and downs, and some of the effects haven't aged well, but overall, the overall story is really great, and Wesley Snipes was a really great Blade. Really liked the ending too, and overall, real solid film. You know what, I'm just gonna do a speed round on the whole trilogy right now. Blade 2, definitely a solid sequel. Guillermo del Toro was definitely a great choice for the director, and you have his style and his imprint all over it, and Ron Perlman does play one of the supporting villains, which is really cool. Blade Trinity, absolute disaster. Like, Ryan Reynolds is really the only thing that makes the movie watchable, and Triple H was just not good. I mean, he was a great wrestler, but as an actor, not so much. And I'm not just saying that because when I was a kid, I didn't like Triple H. I know many did, but I like Randy Orton, John Cena. And now John Cena's Peacemaker. I will address that too when we get to the Suicide Squad. But yeah, that's all I gotta say on that. So I guess let's go on to the next big, well, I guess these two are kind of a tandem because they both made a big impact on the genre when they came out, and DC was dormant during this time. So let's go ahead and move on into X-Men 2000 and Spider-Man 2002. So yeah, in 2002, a few months after 9/11, when this movie was being promoted, there was that infamous teaser trailer that had those criminals get webbed up in the Twin Towers, and it looked like a little spider catching a fly in its web. And after 9/11, that just disappeared. But definitely a nice little bit of trivia there. And that movie definitely was what America needed at the time, and definitely liked the scene where the New Yorkers go up against the Green Goblin, and they're like, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. You mess with New York. And yeah, definitely really liked that. And that was the movie that was needed at the time. And now I get why walking out of the theater, I noticed some people crying, because the ending definitely hit that note with Spider-Man and his final swing, and also when he lands on that American flagpole and then swings off. But yeah, a lot of YouTubers have said probably a lot of derivatives about at least the first two Spider-Man movies, like what I've said. I mean, shit, Movie Bomb did an hour-long video talking about these movies. So all I'm going to say to add is a couple of impersonations and just a few highlights. As always, villains, great. Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin, just perfect casting. So glad he came back for Spider-Man No Way Home, along with Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. And I like all Spider-Man for all their very good qualities. Tobey Maguire is definitely number 2 for my personal preference. Overall is going to be Tom Holland, and I'll get into that when we get into the MCU. But anyway, nonetheless, yeah, really great, and all the swinging scenes were great too. Would not have known for years that a lot of them were just visual effects, because like stunt doubles and actors could not be as high up as they could be without there not being safety at the time when that movie was being made. But nonetheless, I guess the big highlight I want to say to somewhat make myself stand out in the crowd from others who've reviewed these movies is, I guess, the Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe. Oh boy, he was just absolutely perfect, and so many great lines like, Osborn, you swine! I gotta do everything! So, Spider-Man, are you in or are you out? MJ and I, we're gonna have a hell of a time! Finish it! Finish it! Oh god, I just really love that. Oh, almost forgot one of my other favorite lines too. Tell me how! The heart, Osborn! First, we attack his heart! Oh god, I just love that. And oh gosh, a great tribute to the Willem Dafoe, an amazing actor. From no matter what he's in, whether it's Platoon or John Wick or this, oh boy, you know he's gonna kill it no matter what he does. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 also definitely upped the stakes, and is definitely up there among the highlights of the best superhero movies. I don't know if I'd go as far to put it as the best, but it's definitely a damn good one nonetheless. And Alfred Molina and his many great scenes, just he killed it too, and plays really great off Toby. But yeah, so many of his great lines. Butterfingers! Or, oh yeah, right, you're Connor's kid. He tells me you're brilliant. He tells me you're also lazy. Peter Parker. Brilliant, but lazy. Oh gosh, just, yeah, so many great lines of his, and he is just absolutely amazing. I should have known Osborn wouldn't have the spine to take you out. Looks like I gotta take you down now. But yeah. Oh, and also his great redemptive arc of when he sacrifices himself. I will not die a monster. Gosh dang. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say. That's the only thing I can really do to make myself differentiated from others. Spider-Man 3, only thing I'm going to say, no impersonations. Not as bad as I initially thought it was. It was definitely a victim of its hype, and I was one of them too, especially when I was 12 when the movie came out, and was definitely buying into the hype. But still, not as bad, and definitely enjoyed it nonetheless. So I guess let's go to the next year after that movie came out that had two big game changers. The movie right behind me, Iron Man, and The Dark Knight. So yeah, Iron Man was the beginning of the MCU, and it's now being preserved in the Library of Congress. And once again, spot on castings, like what the MCU always does. Fine, I guess I'm gonna say it now to spare myself having to remember it, but yeah, Marvel, great job with almost all their castings. Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Star-Lord, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're all perfectly cast. Black Widow, Thor, you name it. Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and show off a few of them. So yeah, Iron Man was the beginning of the MCU, and it's now being preserved in the Library of Congress. And once again, spot on castings, like what the MCU always does. Fine, I guess I'm gonna say it now to spare myself having to remember it, but yeah, Marvel, great job with almost all their castings. Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Star-Lord, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're all perfectly cast. Black Widow, Thor, you name it. Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and show off a few of them. Yeah, Star-Lord and the Guardians of the Galaxy, or almost all the Avengers. Definitely got him right in the recast, and also Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, and just about everyone here. Oh, and the late Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. So, yeah. Along with many great future villains that I'll discuss here in a bit, like Thanos. So yeah, Iron Man definitely set a really high standard, with great effects, a great story. RDJ just absolutely killing it. Like how Jon Favreau worked his magic with Christmas movies with Elf, he did the same thing with superhero movies and Marvel with Iron Man. But yeah, and Jeff Bridges did a serviceable job as the villain, Obadiah. Gwyneth Paltrow, great as Pepper. And Terrence Howard, for his one performance, wasn't too bad, though I'm more partial to Don Cheadle right behind me. But yeah, nonetheless, it definitely set the genre in motion, and was definitely a joy to see. Along with the end credit scene where Nick Fury comes in, where Tony Stark's all like, "Who the hell are you?" "Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative." I can't impersonate Sam Jackson for shit, so that's the best you got. But yeah, I guess going on to the next big movie that came out that year. The Incredible Hulk also came out that year too. And yes, it is canon. I'm tired of that movie being treated like it's not canon in the MCU or joked about. It is canon, and it is connected, and Abomination is literally back. Nonetheless, though, I really enjoy it, but I will admit of this year, Iron Man is definitely the better film, the one I go back to rewatch more. But yeah, The Dark Knight, oh god, just like with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, so much has been said about it. Heath Ledger's Joker, just absolutely wonderful. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you one thing. So yeah, there's my Heath Ledger Joker poster right next to the Batman #1, one of the comics that was adapted in the movie, along with The Long Halloween, and also frickin' Joker's first debut and The Killing Joke. But yeah, nonetheless, just about everything that could be said about this movie has been said already. So all I'm gonna say, great film, great action, perfect castings with Heath Ledger's Joker. Christian Bale also did his job well. May not be my #1 favorite Batman, but he's definitely at least 2, maybe 3. But definitely enjoyed that. Gary Oldman, perfect. And oh shoot, I probably shouldn't dismiss Batman Begins, which came before it. Also a solid film, great cast, and Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul was also great. Or Raish, we said either way. But yeah, and Cillian Murphy, great as the Scarecrow, even in his cameo in this movie. So yeah, overall a really solid trilogy, along with how it ended with The Dark Knight Rises with Tom Hardy as Bane. So yeah, I can't impersonate him for crap, so I guess I'm only going to do my Heath Ledger impersonation, but yeah. Overall, really great. Do kind of like some of the commentary the movie made on the Bush administration and the Patriot Act too. Don't get why some trying to say it's endorsing it. I feel like the movie really is more condemning it, but yeah. Anyway, and definitely did have a huge impact, because I remember some of this was being used during former President Barack Obama's presidential campaign that year. And there were even references to it in like wrestling, with Rey Mysterio wearing one of his outfits at WrestleMania to look like Heath Ledger's Joker. So yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and do my Heath Ledger impersonation. You wanna know how I got these scars? Why so serious? You got a little fight in you. I like that. Oh boy, his laugh is hard to do. He really did that one of a kind. I probably should not have tried that. But yeah. You see, Batman, madness is like gravity. It just requires a little push. Oh boy, that laugh is not easy to replicate. But nonetheless, R.I.P. Heath Ledger, absolute legend, and his legend will live on in this performance. He definitely deserved that Oscar. So I guess, you know what? I think I'm gonna split it. All subsequent DC films, I'm gonna do all in a little box, along with Marvel. And I'm gonna go ahead and start with Marvel, because Marvel's gonna be a lot longer, because there's over 30 movies, and I'm gonna have to really condense it, and I feel like a lot of what's already been said about the MCU has been said, so I'm just gonna add my own little take on it, and some of my experiences with it, so yeah. So after The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2 came out. Pretty solid sequel. We'll admit, don't get why some try to bash on this movie and say it's just an Avengers setup movie. Definitely really like the story of Tony Stark coming to terms with his own mortality, and also how he overcomes it, and definitely like the scene where Howard Stark is like, of all my many great creations, my greatest creation is you. Boy, especially in a post-Avengers Endgame world, makes you want to grab the tissue box watching that scene. And Mickey Rourke did a pretty good job also as Whiplash, as he is right there on the poster. And Scarlett Johansson, my love, she was absolutely amazing in her debut as Black Widow, and definitely will miss her. And yeah, it was sad watching Black Widow, knowing that would be it for her, along with all the various other tributes in What If and Hawkeye. But yeah, after that, the next MCU movie was Thor. Introduced Chris Hemsworth really greatly, and also his dad Odin was pretty well cast too. Also after Odin, Tom Hiddleston, absolute highlight, definitely a solid villain, and just an overall solid character. I really like his arc throughout the MCU, because he goes from being a villain to more of an anti-hero to a hero, and definitely really liked him as the villain in the Avengers. He was definitely the reason why the Avengers needed to assemble in the first place in the first movie. And that movie definitely having the impact it had on crossing over all these various different movies together and doing it just so well, and all the actors giving it their A game. Joss Whedon just put it all together greatly. Excuse me. And Chris Evans as Captain America, absolutely wonderful, perfect casting. Also nice having Agent Smith being the villain of Red Skull, so definitely really enjoyed that. And real solid film. Oh, and Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter, who would become a very important character in subsequent films. She did a great job as always, and definitely glad she came back for subsequent films like Ant-Man and Avengers Endgame. So I guess I'll go ahead and get I already hinted at the Avengers, so I'll go ahead and finish what I gotta say on there. So yeah. So with the Avengers, as I already stated, the crossover aspect that brought together all these various universes into one. Loki was great. Along with the song by Soundgarden, absolutely love that one. That is a banger. I've played that when I play Zombies. It's really great. R.I.P. Chris Cornell. But yeah, overall everything was just great, from the effects and also how the movie made this Battle of New York really one of the big momentous occurrences in the MCU, where it was like stuff never really was the same after that, and nothing would really feel that grand and big until Endgame with the events of that movie that I'll go into when we get into that. But yeah, nonetheless, I was hyped for this movie when it came out, and was really glad with all the money it made, and definitely enjoyed both my viewings of it. And that end credit scene, even though I didn't know nothing about it before, Thanos, ooh boy, that would be a really great payoff that was set up right there. I guess I'll go ahead and go into Phase 3 with another one of the movies being Iron Man 3. A solid Christmas movie, and it is a Christmas movie. It takes place right around Christmas, so yeah. I'll admit the way the Mandarin was handled definitely could have been better, but nonetheless, still a pretty solid story and some solid character development for RDJ. And it is RDJ after all, you can't go wrong with him. But yeah, definitely really enjoyed it, and the Iron Man trilogy is definitely a solid one, though I will admit Captain America has Iron Man beat in spades, and Thor is now a quadrilogy, but definitely had a solid third entry with Ragnarok. But anyway, we'll get to that when we get to that. So I guess going into Phase 2, Thor the Dark World, the only thing I really got to say about that movie, I don't think it's as bad as everyone says it is, and I still enjoy it. I enjoyed the connection Avengers Endgame had with it, so I guess that's all I gotta say there. Captain America the Winter Soldier, though, holy shit, much like The Dark Knight, it had some pretty interesting commentary on contemporary issues like surveillance that had been going on with the NSA and all that stuff, and solid action, and how it was also kind of more of a political thriller that took more influence from all the President's Men. It even had one of the actors be the villain, Robert Redford. Damn good casting right there. And having Black Widow and Captain America team up, they were a really solid pair. Like, they worked off each other really greatly, along with Falcon. And Bucky coming back, gosh, really love the scene where he's wailing on him, saying, "You are my mission!" And then Cap's like, "Then finish it, because I'm with you to the end of the line." And then Bucky snaps out of it. Oh god, just man-tier moment right there, definitely. But yeah, nonetheless, Winter Soldier really upped the game and really made Captain America a really great and badass character. I mean, he was great in the other movies, but that one just took him to a whole nother level. So yeah, and as I showed already, Guardians of the Galaxy, to sum up as my perspective, I didn't see this movie in theaters because, I'd say it, I was one of those people who thought Marvel was giving up when the movie came out. I honestly had no interest in it, but I definitely regret it now. But nonetheless, thanks to losing a bet to my friend's dad, I watched it and ended up loving it, and I got the soundtrack on vinyl. So yeah, Ronan may not be a great villain, but nonetheless, the heroes are so perfectly cast, and with James Gunn, the script's great, no matter what in the story. And quite heartfelt and emotional in a few moments too. But yeah, Chris Pratt, great as Star-Lord. Same thing with Zoe Saldana as Gamora, along with Groot, with Vin Diesel, and another wrestler I loved growing up, Dave Bautista, being Drax. And Bradley Cooper is a solid voice as Rocket Raccoon, too. But, yeah, definitely a great intro to the Guardians. So, I guess on to the next Avengers movie. And all I'm going to say here is, ever since I saw it, I've loved it. I don't get why some try to act like it's controversial to say it's a good MCU movie, because the movie really set up almost all the subsequent phases from Phase 3 to even now, with many things it set up with Wanda Maximoff and Vision. But yeah, nonetheless, James Spader was great too. Overall, the new Avengers they introduced were really great too, so yeah. But yeah, there's my poster of it right here, so definitely really enjoyed it, and that climax at the end, taking down Ultron, was absolutely great. So, yeah, definitely don't get why some complained about it. And then Ant-Man came out after that to close Phase 2. But, nonetheless, definitely a solid phase with Phase 2. So, yeah. Now, I guess on to Phase 3, and up to the recently finished Phase 4. So to kick off Phase 3, we started with Captain America Civil War, and really solid movie that really made the comic that was an okay comic, but nothing special, really great. The story with Iron Man and his arc and development in the MCU along with Captain America. You really buy the conflict, and let's just say that it is way better than what DC did with Batman v Superman. But yeah, nonetheless, really solid, and Baron Zemo was a really great villain too. Nonetheless, the great cast is used greatly. Absolutely love the movie. So yeah, there was Doctor Strange that was released, which another spot on casting going back to Doctor Strange. It is an interesting way of thinking about how it would have been if Joaquin Phoenix was cast. And also him playing Dormammu is really awesome too. Him playing the hero and the villain, and the really great scene where he rewinds time with the Time Stone, one of the Infinity Gems, or stones, because they're called both in the comics, differently in the comics and the film. But nonetheless, really like the scene where he keeps rewinding time. Dormammu, I come bargain. Dormammu, come bargain. And then he gets sick of it. It's like MCU year where they released more than 2 movies. 2017 started off with the sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Really great sequel, with a really great villain being Ego, and overall some solid development for all the characters. Really great soundtrack. Definitely set the stage for the possible finale, that being Volume 3 now. But yeah, after that, there was Spider-Man Homecoming, the intro to Spider-Man. Forgot to mention he appeared in Captain America Civil War, but he was basically just a glorified cameo. This is his true first solo story. But nonetheless, it's really great movie. And really loved the way how he was introduced. He's just really matched everything about Spider-Man. Being Peter Parker and Spider-Man, Michael Keaton, great as always as the Vulture. Solid villain, and definitely great intro. And RDJ's appearance in it was really great too. And then the last movie that was released that year was Thor Ragnarok, and really great. I couldn't need it more needed. And really great story of action, humor, and just overall fun. Kate Blanchett killed it as Hela, and Jeff Goldblum as the Flex was great too. Just overall, really great. Some great development for Thor. And I really like the scene where he talks to Odin and his little green. Not as strong as you. And then Odin's like, no, you're stronger. Really love that moment. Really tears up the heartstrings. But yeah, nonetheless, really love that moment, and just really great film overall. So I guess moving on to after that, the next movie was Black Panther, and as I hinted at earlier, Chadwick Boseman did a great job in his intro in Captain America Civil War, and really great year. And gosh, Michael B. Jordan really killed it as the villain, Killmonger, and Shuri was a great supporting cast, and we'll discuss her more. She'll become important in Wakanda Forever in the sequel. But yeah, just really great cast. Okoye was great too, and just about everyone. Angela Bassett as the Queen Ramonda. Really like this movie, and I kind of like how T'Challa, Black Panther, he was won over by some of what Killmonger had been saying about what needed to be done with Wakanda. And the movie had a really nice scene on the state of American politics also, when it showed the upside down camera angle of Killmonger taking the throne. And I noticed it. I was like, kind of commenting on Donald Trump's presidency. Really glad Marvel put that in there. But yeah, nonetheless, really solid film, great soundtrack also. And I guess let's go ahead and go into the big event of the year, Avengers Infinity War. So yeah, as you can tell, I really enjoyed this movie. Got this amazing poster here for Avengers Infinity War. Also got a puzzle recently. Let me go ahead and pull it into the light. So yeah, what can I say about this movie? It being the Empire Strikes Back of the MCU. Like, the ending that this movie gave with its cliffhanger and what it accomplished was truly incredible. Balancing all the many characters it balanced, and the villain being the character who had the most screen time, that being Thanos, where he's both the protagonist and the antagonist of the movie. And just about every Avenger had all their moments to shine, from Thor to Iron Man to Doctor Strange, along with Spider-Man. Really enjoyed it, and definitely a solid balancing act. And ooh boy, that ending, snap. I guess to tie into my experience when I saw it, I remember seeing it with my friends Tyler, Wolfgang, and Nathan. Ooh boy, that was a gut punch. We were all just silent watching it and seeing many of the Avengers fade to dust. And gosh dang, you really felt it. When Captain America was usually optimistic, when he just collapses, it was like, oh god. After the epic battle for Wakanda, among its many great scenes, especially when Thor arrived after making his new weapon Stormbreaker to take down Thanos in the awesome "Bring Me Thanos" scene. And yeah, just oh boy. And you definitely feel it too when it seems like the Avengers are going to win like they always do, but Thor wanting to avenge Loki's loss, because Loki is murdered in the beginning when Thanos strangles him to death. And also like his final line too, when he became a hero in the end, and he's like, "We have a Hulk." And then I really like too how when he's dying, he's like, "You will never be a god." Gosh dang, down to his last breath, he said that to Thanos. But yeah. Then again, the beginning of the true emotional moments in that movie was when Gamora was sacrificed by Thanos, and oh boy, you feel it. And the music in that scene was so powerful. It was used in the sequel. But yeah, gosh, when he throws her off, oh boy, you feel it, and you just go, oh shit. And also how she wants to kill herself, but Thanos, already having the reality gem, turns her knife into bubbles, and then she just has to look on her face like, this is it. And oh boy, Gamora dies, Thanos gets the Soul Stone, and the epic battle on Titan with Doctor Strange, the Guardians of the Galaxy that are still around, minus Rocket and Groot, and Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man. It's really great when they're about to take the gauntlet off Thanos, but then Nebula points out Thanos left, but he did not bring Gamora with her. And oh boy, Star-Lord loses his shit and starts hitting on him. Thanos gets the gauntlet back, and oh boy, this is a really great scene where Iron Man has one last little battle with Thanos, and he stabs him and is about to kill him. He's getting the gauntlet ready to vaporize him, and then Doctor Strange is like, stop, spare his life and I will give you the stone. And then he gives it to him, because he had been reading various futures and saw the one where the Avengers do win. And gosh dang, really like what he said when Tony's like, why did you do that? And he's like, we're in the end game now. And then his final words when the dusting happened were, there's no other way. But yeah, oh boy. And back to the chill of that scene, another big gut punch was when Spider-Man was dusted. He's like, I don't want to go to the start, I don't want to go. And then he kind of resisted it, only to then fall down and be like, I'm sorry. And then you see Tony holding up his arm, hoping he's gonna be dusted also, because he didn't want to live. And especially after the one Max him up and kill Vision, only for Thanos to use the time stone to bring him back to life and then kill him again. Boy, yeah. And now she kind of welcomed it. She just like turned her head up and was like, yes, please kill me. Like she wanted to die. Whew, boy, that being the big pre-Avengers Infinity War moment and post, as they call it, the blip or the decimation. Yeah. Ooh boy, that. Oh boy, yeah, and that's still being felt today with Phase 4. But yeah, nonetheless, just really, yeah. I guess the last thing I'll say is the final scene where Thanos looks upon the sunrise of a great universe, where he doesn't do a maniacal laugh or any of the typical villain stuff. He just takes a seat and smiles. Oh boy, and then the music played at the end. I remember seeing that in the theater, and I was crying, I'll admit. Oh boy, it just really hits. And then hearing the main Avengers theme, the piano, oh god, really good. And then the final post-credits is also Captain Marvel, this whole Nick Furio's major, and Sam Jackson was all like, oh, motherfucker. Yeah, Nick Fury almost said motherfucker. But, yeah, boy. Well, let's go ahead and move on to a more lighter MCU movie, because, yeah, now we'll talk about it. I don't know why I don't rewatch this movie very often, and typically only do it in marathons. It's a lot to get through. But, yeah, still great nonetheless. So yeah, Captain Marvel, it being a prequel, taking place before Iron Man, definitely sets up the Avengers real nicely with Sam Jackson and his appearance, and the digital de-aging on him throughout the whole movie was great, along with Agent Coulson. And don't don't get what is up some people's butts about Brie Larson. I absolutely love her as Carol Danvers. I thought she did a great job. I'll admit the villain was a little weak, but still an enjoyable film nonetheless. But I am Marvel, so that looks pretty amazing. And I guess on to the next big event that came out in that year. Avengers Endgame. As you can tell, really love the movie. Even got this Iron Man from Avengers Endgame figure right here. So, yeah. Oh, also got a Captain America one right there too. So, yeah. Oh, and there's also that poster that came with the bundle. But, yeah, the culmination of what this whole phase, as it would be called, the Infinity Saga, was leading up to. So yeah, this one bringing together the remaining Avengers and one Guardian, that being Rocket, to take on Thanos and bring him down. Except it isn't exactly how they think, because Thanos already destroyed the Infinity Stones, and the Avengers can't really do anything about it. And boy, am I glad they made this decision. It starts off with how you think the movie's going to be, where it's going to be a battle across space for the Avengers to take down Thanos, but he's kind of already retired and accepted that he won, and they go to kill him. Thor actually aims for the head and cuts his head off, but it means nothing since the stones were destroyed. And yeah, boy, resolving the cliffhanger from Infinity War. Oh boy. Along with the opening where Hawkeye sees his whole family fade away. Oh boy, that was rough too. And Tony Stark and Nebula thinking they're about to die in the ship. And Tony, when he's recording his last recording, getting Pepper because he thinks he's going to die. But thankfully, thanks to Captain Marvel, who was tracked with the pager, finds Tony and brings him back. But yeah, oh boy, that was rough. Yeah, the Avengers are almost in shambles, but are only kept intact thanks to Black Widow. And one of the Avengers who, he didn't blip, but he was trapped in the quantum realm. Well, almost forgot to mention Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania came out before this, but that movie was more of just a palate cleanser, so the only thing that's really important about that movie is introducing the quantum realm, because that's how time travel is done in the MCU. So that's really all I gotta say on that movie. Not that it's a bad movie, but really, that's all I want to highlight. Anyway, he comes back, sees his daughter Cassie, now a teenager, because he missed that whole 5 years of her growing up. Yeah, oh boy, and like the excitement and shock he feels seeing her, yeah, you feel it. But yeah, nonetheless, really interesting seeing where all the Avengers are. Tony Stark has just retired from being a superhero, and now he has a child named Morgan Stark with Pepper. And yeah, RDJ and the actress who plays young Morgan, definitely a sweet connection right there. And like seeing the scene of Tony in the dream realm where those who do the snap go, where he sees a grown-up Morgan Stark played by Catherine Langford, who I really hope she comes back to play Morgan in the MCU, because that would be absolutely wonderful. Anyway, nonetheless, yeah, all the Avengers are in their own little spaces, and Thor, feeling like he failed everyone, he's just depressed, and just spends all his time playing video games since the snap, until the Hulk brings him back in. But even he had to be lured in with beer on the ship, as Rocket said when he said there's beer on the ship. But yeah, he's fat and has his beard and whatnot. But yeah, just feel how he's just really went downhill since all that went down. Nonetheless, though, it is really nice when Noob Master, who's been messing with him on frickin' oh god, on frickin' he's all like, hey, Noob Master, he's messing with him. It's so funny when he shit talks him, saying, listen here, Noob Master, if you come mess with me again, I'm gonna teleport down there, cut your arms up, and shove them up your butt. Oh, go cry to your father, you little weasel. Oh god, I just love that. That scene is just hilarious. But nonetheless, this leads to Tony Stark creating the time travel machine using the Pym particles of the quantum realm. And to sum up the time travel, I guess with time travel in the MCU, you don't really travel back into the past, you more go into a different universe. And that's why when you come back, you don't really change the present very much. So I do kind of like the way how that time travel worked, and how the objective of this time travel with this movie was the time heist, where they're going back in time to get the Infinity Gems, all the various different ones across different points in time. And Cap has his real epic badass speech where he's all like, 6 years ago we lost, or no, it was 5 years ago we lost a lot. We lost friends, we lost family, we lost a part of ourselves. He's like, just because we're going back to the past doesn't mean we need to go into respect. This is the fight of our lives, and we're gonna win. Oh boy, it is a really great speech. I don't get why some try to say Optimus Prime is the best speeches in cinematic history. He ain't got shit on Captain America. Captain America has many great ones. I guess the other big one I want to highlight too was his Price of Freedom is High speech in Captain America's Winter Soldier, where he calls out Hydra and says, "Many of you have been ordered to hunt me down. Many are in the building." And he said, "If I'm the only one who's willing to take them down, then so be it. But I'm willing to bet I'm not." And then says the awesome, "The price of freedom is high. It always has been. But it's a price I'm willing to pay." God, I freaking love that moment. Oh, and also his speech in Avengers Age of Ultron, when he's talking to the Avengers when they're suffering getting a little beaten by Ultron. And he's like, "If you get hurt, hurt him back. If you get killed, walk it off." God, I love that line, especially when I've had a bad day. I'm just like, remember, walk it off. But yeah, that was just really great. And then the time travel section of the movie takes place where they all go to various different points in MCU history, with Thor going to Asgard to get the Reality Stone, and a group of the Avengers, Ant-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, they all go to New York, along with Bruce Banner, to get the Time Stone, the Space Stone, the Tesseract, oh, and also the Mind Stone. Oh, I already said the Mind Stone. The Time Stone, because Bruce goes to talk to the Ancient One, and that was when it was revealed that with time travel in the MCU, you always got to have the Infinity Stones at every point in time, otherwise reality would collapse in on itself, as the Ancient One and Bruce were discussing. But yeah, it is nice seeing a lot of these scenes from different angles, and how you see what wasn't shown in the movie, along with how Star-Lord was just listening to his music by himself. But the way it was filmed in Guardians, the audience hears it all, so that was a really nice angle, especially with War Machine being like, "So he's an idiot." Oh god, I really love that moment. But yeah, nonetheless, definitely a nice use of the time travel. And also when Tony Stark went back to 1970 to meet his father, and he's just all like, doesn't know how to react. He's like, "I'm talking to my father." He's like, "I can say goodbye to my father," because like that was one of his big things after he got captured in the original Iron Man movie when he was kidnapped. He's like, "I never got to say goodbye to my father." And that was the big dramatic reveal in Captain America Civil War, when Bucky was the one who was revealed to kill his parents, and Captain America kept it from him, and that's what led to their falling out, which was also why the Avengers all lost, because they were together and it really split them way too much, and that division really hurt being able to bring down Thanos. But yeah, that was a really sweet moment. And also Cap gets to go see Peggy when he's pretending to be a soldier at the base, and he like doesn't know how to react. He's like, "Oh god," he's just dumbfounded looking at Peggy again. But nonetheless, it is also nice when you see Captain America during the scene where he fights past Captain America, and oh yeah, that was a really nice fight that those two had. And I really like the scene where the Hydra agents are freaking asking him questions about why he wanted the scepter and the Mind Stone in it, and then he's all like, "Hail Hydra," to get them off his trail. And yeah, and I guess the big time stone part of this movie was, I love Black Widow, when her and Hawkeye go to Vormir to learn that one of them has to die in order to get the Soul Stone to bring down Thanos, and they all have compelling arguments on why they want to do it. huge killing spree when he became a Ronin. And he's like, I got nothing left to live for. I'm trash. I don't even have my family anymore. But yeah, Black Widow's like, I don't judge people on their worst mistakes. And you see them both trying to fight to save the other. And then as Black Widow fires her little grappling hook and Hawkeye's holding her, she's like, let me go, please. And then she like pushes herself away from Hawkeye and sacrifices himself. And I guess because he has advanced eyesight, he doesn't want to see it happen. And yeah, that's it for Natasha Romanoff in the MCU. I know I've only hinted at her before, but nonetheless, I think she's a great character. I don't get why some say she wasn't given the proper treatment she should have got. I mean, Captain America Winter Soldier, where she was great in that, along with Civil War, in her subsequent development. And I feel Black Widow just adds to her awesomeness, and same with the last two Avengers. And even though she wasn't in the final battle, she was there in the spirit, which helped them win. But yeah, after that, Bruce Banner, he does the snap with a makeshift Infinity Gauntlet to bring back all the Avengers. And as they all come back, though, a variant of Thanos from the past is able to make duplicates of the Pym particles to come back in time. And he just decimates the Avengers compound and leads to the epic final battle where Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man approach Thanos. And oh boy, this is a really great conflict. Along with the scene where this variant of Thanos is about to kill Thor with his own axe. Yet Captain America, after Thor went back to get Mjolnir, because his whole arc was him learning he's still worthy despite some of his issues, which was really sweet. But yeah, nonetheless, really a nice epic scene when Captain America was worthy and he held Mjolnir, as my figure was shown in the intro. Now, I don't believe he was always worthy like Kevin Feige claims. I prefer the theory that he became worthy when he revealed the truth of Tony Stark's parents to him. I think that is a more satisfying reveal. But yeah, nonetheless, this leads to the iconic and awesome Portals moment where all the Dustin Avengers come back. Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, all of them. The little sling ring portals are all coming in. Along with Black Panther, especially when Falcon talks to him and says, "Hey Steve, on your left." And then Black Panther comes back with a really great detail of Captain America being ready to take down all of Thanos' army by himself. Just with Mjolnir. God, just cinematic perfection right there. But yeah, battle, just about everything has been said, but just so many great little details. Definitely nice to go back and rewatch and notice some little details, especially with Howard the Duck and his appearance. But yeah, nonetheless, it leads to the final great showdown where Captain Marvel takes down Thanos' ship, and she's about to take him down, but then Thanos grabs the power gem, knocks her out of the battle. Captain America and Thor are taken down, and Iron Man has to fight him, and using the nanotech in his suit, makes a makeshift Infinity Gauntlet. And right before he does it, Doctor Strange holds up one finger, telling him that this is the one scenario where they win. And then Stark realizes, shit, this is it. I'm gonna die. And, yeah. Just overall, oh boy. Shit, it's a fan. And then he says, as Thanos is all like, I am inevitable. And then he's like, I am Iron Man. There we go. But, yeah, just, oh boy. Yeah, that, yeah, when he sacrifices himself, and you definitely feel it in the funeral scene. Really like the sweeping shot of it, showing everyone Tony had connected with throughout the MCU, like his daughter and Pepper, along with Happy and Rhodey, Captain America and Thor, along with all the Wakandans, the Guardians who met him. Oh yeah, you definitely feel it. And also, when all the Infinity Stones that are still around have to be returned, just really great. Oh, along with Thor going off to the Guardians, that was also really great, and I'll go into that development Anyway, frickin' Captain America cashed his rain check on his dance with Peggy. Goes to live in an alternate universe with her in the final scene where they're dancing together, and it's just really sweet. And I guess to finish off this phase, it ends with Spider-Man Far From Home, which did a pretty good job of wrapping it up and being the palate cleanser that we needed, but leaving an interesting tease for the subsequent Spider-Man movie No Way Home that I will get into here in a bit. But nonetheless, Jake Gyllenhaal was really great as Mysterio, and definitely like his connection with Tony Stark and how he set in the greatness of Spider-Man No Way Home into motion with his actions. So I guess that's the Infinity Saga for you. Really solid slate. Alright, I'm going to do a lot of condensing because this video is long enough as it is. So, phase 4, I'm really going to condense what I got to say here so I can get to DC, and then that'll be it. So yeah, phase 4 in what's now being called the Multiverse Saga started off with Black Widow, as I hinted at, but it actually takes place during the Infinity Saga, but nonetheless introduced a lot of great characters like Red Guardian, Taskmaster, and Yelena Belova, Natasha's successor as Black Widow, and Melina Foster. But nonetheless, overall, really great film, and definitely like adding the Bourne aspect of Black Widow, so that was really great. Don't get why some write it off. Solid film overall. And there are many different TV shows that have been connected to these movies, but I think I'm just going to focus on the movies. That's a different discussion. This is a movie retrospective, not TV, so yeah. So I'm just going to focus on the movies. Shang-Chi, solid origin film, probably one of the best since Iron Man, and did a great job introducing Shang-Chi, and Katie is a nice support, and the villain Wenwu, the true Mandarin, oh boy, he is an absolute badass. You feel a lot of sympathy for him. Just overall great martial arts action. Soundtrack's great. Just about everything in the movie is absolutely incredible, and highly recommend Shang-Chi if you haven't seen it. Eternals, that being a more divisive MCU. Still enjoy it, I will admit. Some parts it drags in. Nonetheless, I enjoy it, and I highly recommend it. I hope it does get a sequel. So on to the big finale, that being Spider-Man No Way Home. So, yeah, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are back, and in this movie, a lot of the past villains like Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe, Norman Osborn, Doc Ock, Sandman, Lizard, and Electro come back, and let's just say Electro. Boy, Jamie Foxx redeemed himself there. And the way how this furthers Peter's arc, oh boy, and that ending of him sacrificing his existence to save the multiverse, boy, quite emotional. And I do like also how Tobey and Andrew are both supporting characters. They get to have their own redemption moments because he redeems himself being able to save Norman, at least in some alternate realities, and really like that aspect, and especially when Tom Holland Peter 1 wanted to kill him, but he grabs him as he's holding up his fire and gives him a look like, no, don't do it. And yeah, and also the great scene too of Andrew saving Michelle, because he couldn't save Gwen, his love interest, and yeah. Ooh boy. But nonetheless, really great. And the scene where they're all reminiscing on all the villains they fought was really great, especially when Peter brings up, yeah, I fought an alien made of black goo once. And then Peter 1 is all like, Tom Holland, he's all like, oh yeah, I fought an alien. I fought him both in space and on Earth. Along with when he brought up that he was in the Avengers. Oh god, and then Peter 2, Tobey Maguire, he's all like, you were in the Avengers, that's great! What is that? And I also really love the epic team-up shot where they all land in their own unique Spider-Man poses, where Tobey's doing the classic crouch, Andrew's doing his own little take on a different one, along with Tom Holland doing his. But yeah, oh boy, that ending with Michelle, it was a heart-wrencher, along with Happy Hogan, who'd been supporting Peter throughout his journey, now not even recognizing him, and oh boy, the emotional moment where Aunt May dies. Oh god. And then the subsequent scene where J. Jonah Jameson is making him out to be a villain, and yeah, quite emotional. And then after that, this leads into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Real solid film. Sam Raimi came back with a fucking vengeance with this movie, and so many scenes in this movie, I swear, they were edited a different way. This movie could have been the MCU's first R-rated film. Like, Sam Raimi really pushes the boundaries of the PG-13 rating, and this could have been the first R-rated MCU film. Nonetheless, though, besides that, really great. Wanda Maximoff had a really nice villain turn. She was really great. Along with Bruce Campbell's cameo, and the development for Stephen Strange was really cool too. So I got nothing to complain about in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Also, the Illuminati were cool, especially seeing John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. And a live-action Captain Carter from What If. That was pretty cool too. But yeah, nonetheless, absolutely wonderful. So I guess since we're into this year with MCU content, let's go ahead and move on to the next subsequent film, Thor: Love and Thunder. Showing off where Thor had been. He'd been off on many adventures with the Guardians while also dealing with all the trauma that his arc had been throughout. And Gore the God Butcher, with Christian Bale, another Batman actor, killing it as always. Absolutely incredible. And really love him in that movie. And yeah, he was just really great, along with his love interest Jane coming back and now having Mjolnir. And her arc was really sweet and solid, along with Russell Crowe killing it as Zeus as expected. But yeah, nonetheless, really great. And looks like Chris Hemsworth isn't going to be acting for very long, because he realized, I guess he has Alzheimer's in his family, and he's now concerned that it's going to hit hard. So it's looking like we might get just one more Thor film until he hangs up Stormbreaker and calls it a run, like Hugh Jackman and all the other Avengers. But nonetheless, it's been a great run, and can't wait to see what's going to happen next. And I sure hope that epic fight teased between him and Hercules comes to fruition. So after that, there wasn't an MCU movie. No, there wasn't. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Just to sum it up, absolutely great. Though it had a long runtime, absolutely incredible. Really loved everything about it, and who they chose to succeed, Chadwick Boseman. And I also like too how they incorporated the grief of the real life loss of Chadwick Boseman into the story. And Rihanna's song is absolutely emotional. Nonetheless, it was really great. There were some other great candidates for who they chose. Shuri, boy, she gets some really good development. And you see her just dealing with the loss of her brother, and how she feels like she could have cured him due to her being a scientist and a science genius. But once you see her recreate that and some of the issues she's been dealing with, you really buy her as the next Black Panther. And Namor is an absolutely amazing villain. Like, he's more of an anti-hero in this movie, but nonetheless, he is an absolute badass, and you really love it. It's really great, the battle between Wakanda and, well, they're not called Atlanteans, I guess the Talokans. Talokon is what Atlantis is called in the MCU, I guess. Must be a rights issue with DC. But, yeah. Anyway, great film, and definitely loved every aspect of it, and very satisfying and movie-wise to the MCU. TV-wise, the technical ending is the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, but for movie-wise, that's it. So yeah, can't wait to see how this multiverse saga is going to unfold. Especially this debut movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Can't wait to see the ending of the Guardian story with Volume 3. So yeah, and Captain Marvel's next sequel, The Marvels. So I guess that's all I'm going to say there on the MCU. Great run, solid films, all bangers, just in different degrees. But yeah, I guess I'm going to go ahead and go on to DC, sum up their extended universe, and that'll be it. So yeah, DC had their own cinematic universe called the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe, but all I gotta say is I'm definitely not as big and as hyped on it as I am Marvel. I mean, I'm glad they got James Gunn with it now, but yeah, let's just say Zach, or as I call him, Hack Snyder, and the cult has made talking about these movies less fun, and how they're all being pissy because James Gunn wants a clean start with a reboot. Anyway, Man of Steel, not a bad Superman movie, but nonetheless, I definitely wish someone other than Zack Snyder wrote and directed for Henry Cavill, because I feel like he truly could be great. He truly could have been great since he's not coming back, but He'll always be a what if now since he's officially done. I feel like it was just the writing and directing that held him back. Henry gave a great performance. It was just the writing and directing that held him back. Ben Affleck's Batman, Batfleck, or as I call him, Shitfleck, absolutely horrible casting. He's not Batman. He's Punisher cosplaying as Batman. And then he becomes a Tony Stark clone in Justice League. Just overall, not a great Batman. He's lucky Clooney came before him, and it was much worse. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, definitely a highlight, especially with Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman 1984, not a bad movie, just not as good as the first one. But still, definitely enjoyed her run. Jason Momoa, thought he was pretty good as Aquaman, but I hate to say it after his support of that bitch, Amber Heard. Yeah, no, I've lost respect for him. Yeah, no. And Ezra Miller is basically a real-life supervillain, so I'm not watching The Flash because of Ezra. I'm watching it because Michael Keaton's coming back, and definitely not looking forward to seeing Ben Affleck back again. But yeah, Shazam was also a solid film too, and the Suicide Squad, James Gunn definitely cut loose with an R-rated superhero movie with that movie. But yeah, with the most recent Black Adam that was released, really enjoyed that, but I'm disappointed The Rock isn't coming back. But nonetheless, though, yeah, that's all my thoughts on DC. And I guess the one last other notable superhero movie I want to mention is Hellboy. Watch the Ron Perlman movies; they're absolute classics, and I hope by some sheer triumph of campaigning or whatever, we can get Hellboy 3. Nonetheless, though, hope you like this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and Captain America says peace.